This week, wait, what week is it? It's March in 2025, and we're talking about no, it can't be handhelds again. This is the Good Game Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer. Do you ever feel like time is just a flat circle and we're just constantly doing and talking about and doing and talking about and doing and talking about the same things over and over again? With me is a man who is better than me in a lot of ways, but specifically at working towards our goals this year, it's my co-host, Mike. Mike, how's the mansion?
How do you know I actually did it?
You
sent you a picture.
Yeah, you sent me a picture.
Yeah. The mansion is I don't really know how I feel about the mansion yet.
Oh.
I started playing it and I went through the tutorial and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing in this game. They're like trying to flashlight at the ghosts and then suck them up with your vacuum.
Oh.
But they don't tell you that you have to wait until like the last second to do it.
Oh. Okay.
So like I was going through the tutorial and I was shining my flashlight at the ghost and they were just disappearing immediately. And he's like, "You suck." And I was like, "I know." But I got the hang of it. I'm enjoying it. It took me about 45 minutes to an hour of playing it for me to be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I can play this. I get the premise. This is kind of fun, like in a different kind of like puzzle solving way.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I don't know how far I am, but I've caught many ghosts.
Very nice. Very nice.
I'm really excited for you to play it. Mostly because I want to know if I'm just bad at this game or if it's actually as challenging as I'm making it sound.
I am also really excited to start playing it. I'm also really excited to say that I'm done with it.
Are you really?
No, I haven't even started yet. Could you imagine though?
Okay. I was going to say, based on your intro, this is all very confusing to me.
I set you up.
Are you playing it on? You said, yeah.
Oh, Mike's so much better than me. I'm actually done with it.
Nah.
Oh man. Am I actually? Were you gonna say?
Are you gonna play it on GameCube?
Yeah. Yep.
Or are you gonna play it on? Did they remaster it for Switch?
Was that the first one or was that the 3DS one?
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. Wouldn't that be weird though? Like, just do the second one and not the first one?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they both are on there. But regardless, I am planning to play it on GameCube. And I probably should have started it this past weekend. Because MLB The Show comes out like Thursday night, Friday morning at midnight. So cooked, as the kids would say.
Indeed. I'm curious because you play old games all the time, and I say that with an aching back because this game is younger than I am. Do your eyes do you ever play an old game and say, wow, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this. This looks rough, especially like Nintendo 64, GameCube, PlayStation 1 era. And then you get into it and you're like, oh, I completely forgot I was playing a GameCube game.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely up front with like a lot of games. It takes like a little bit to get adjusted to it, and then it feels like you're just kind of like right back into it. But it also helps that twice a week, if we're good about keeping our schedule, twice a week I'm playing games on the Super Nintendo right now. And then like that's going to become the PS1 or the 64. And I know PS1 and the Nintendo 64 have a lot of games, like you said, that look rough. Um, but yeah, I think some of the reason why it seems so harsh is probably the TVs that we're playing this stuff on.
Hmm.
Because they're like almost too good. I see a lot of stuff where people are like, "Oh yeah, like if you actually want to play, um, PS1 games and like have them, feel better, you should actually be playing on like an old like tube TV."
Yeah,
Um,
if you can find one.
right, right. So obviously there are challenges to that, and so
I do think about that every now and then because, like, sometimes I'll see him at Goodwill or something, or Salvation Army, and I'm like, kind of alluding to our conversation before we started recording, but it's like, where the fuck am I going to put a CRT?
right,
Probably on a cart so I can wheel it in,
yeah.
and I can get excited about it. My wife can be like, "What the fuck?"
You can wheel it in because you're hungover and you don't want to deal with your class for the day, so
Yeah,
you'll
exactly.
just show them that reading rainbow video again.
Uh,
Yeah, I flip flop on it as well, but ultimately, back to your original question, like I do feel like for the most part my eyes adjust and get used to it, and then yeah, you kind of forget that you were even playing um a game that was on the GameCube or Super
yeah.
Nintendo or whatever. So
I find that like GameCube and PS1. So I think I've talked about this before, but this about a year ago I bought a Sony TV, and it's still able to connect to like the old like component cables,
mhm.
and I think it's got some sort of like upscaling in it. So
Okay.
like when I play the GameCube, I would kind of expect it to be in like, oh, what was it, like the 4:3 ratio, like the
Mhm.
old like square TVs. But it stretches it to almost the ends of my TV and actually still looks okay. Um, Works for GameCube, like I said, GameCube and PS1 fine, but like sometimes playing Super Nintendo is rough. Like sometimes that's just too stretched.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, maybe one day when I get rid of some shit and I can figure out where I can put it, I'll get an old Sony Titantron or whatever they called it.
Yeah. I love it. All right, so you
Um,
started Luigi's Mansion. Anything else?
yeah, and then Justine and I started playing Split Fiction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's dude. Joseph Fares deserves like, I don't know, a Nobel Peace Prize, something. I will die for that man.
Yeah, he did it again with this one.
He did it again. It's
Oh,
it's so good. I started getting like not really story spoilers, but Easter egg spoilers, which I feel like is arguably worse for his games
oh yeah,
because there's just so much like we comb through this game, and I'm so proud of Justine because there's like one time I blew through an area and she was like back. Um, she's like, "Well, we got to look for like the fun mini games and stuff," and like I don't want to spoil it either, but she found like this other thing that was cool, kind of a staple Joseph Fares thing to include in games, um, which is really funny. So I'll leave it at that. But man, it's so good. I don't know. I guess I can probably tell you. We've probably already sank like somewhere between 4 and 6 hours into it
yeah.
in one night.
Right. I was gonna say very
We played
easy
it.
to do.
Yeah. I told Justine, I was like, hey, I'm getting store like Easter egg spoiler, so we gotta go. We gotta play. This will not do.
Yeah. Ah.
It's so good, dude. You gotta play it.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta get it, and so Shelby and I can play it. I would also love um which like person are you playing as, the medieval writer or the like sci-fi?
The sci-fi,
Okay. Okay.
which works perfectly for me and for mine and Justine's personalities. It kind of lines up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to convince Shelby not to play as the medieval person.
I
Either way,
mean,
I would love to play through the game together.
yeah,
Because like we played through, A Way Out, um, and that was just like that was such a peak experience. It was so good. Um,
I would do it again.
A Way Out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I feel like and knowing now like because that was the first Joseph Fares game that I played.
Hmm.
So like knowing now how he operates, I kind of want to play it again so I can go back and like dig a little deeper. I mean, I think we've played it. We played it twice together, didn't we?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Gonna be a kid's godfather.
Yeah. uh
It's good, dude, though. Like when we play it, I don't really care who I play as because I think Justine and I are gonna like I think as soon as we finish this story, we're gonna go through and do it again.
yeah. All right. Well,
It's
bet.
good.
Bet. Bet.
It's
Bet.
so good. So we sat down on the day that it was either the day that it came out or the day after it came out, and we played 4 hours and 48 minutes.
It's a good night.
I think 48 of those minutes were like we were done playing, but we realized we missed something in one of the levels, so we had to go back, and then we just kept playing.
I love it.
It's so good. Game of the year.
Yeah, already you're ready to give it that designation.
Between that and what was the other game I said was game of the year already? I don't know. I think any game I actually get into, I just say is game of the year.
I mean, that's fair, right? Like you're just
Joseph
using.
Fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, pack it up, everybody. We've reached the pinnacle of comedy.
Yep.
Um, no, you're just using your like personal experience to make a decision or a claim. So yeah, how can you claim something is truly game of the year if you haven't played it, right? I love to hear that it's that's good, and yeah, definitely need to hop on that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely.
But first, I have to play Luigi's Mansion. I think I've really shot myself in the foot with this game because I had like a ton of free time in February that I should have just done it. I'll figure it out. I still have
I
three
don't think
three
it's gonna.
weeks.
I haven't looked it up yet, but I can't imagine it's gonna take that long.
Oh, I've looked it up, and that's why I have the hubris.
Does it actually take that long?
No, it's 6 to 8 hours or something like
Oh,
that.
that's why you're procrastinating.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, six to eight is like the rough designation. And then anytime, I don't know if you're this way, anytime I look up like how long a game is, I have learned because Shelby and I do it a lot for these old games to try and like plan out, when we're gonna be able to get around to stuff and whatnot. Um Normally I pad it like an additional 2 hours, give or take.
Hmm.
So if it's a 6 to 8, I imagine it'll take me a good like 10 hours. So yeah, I just need like a good Sunday. But the problem is if I have like a wide open Sunday, MLB the show is going to be out. You get my problem.
Yeah,
You
I see what's going on here.
you as a Madden college football guy, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Oh man. Anything else? Sorry, I keep hijacking.
No, no, you're good. That
All
was
right.
it.
Very nice. Very nice. Um, Trying to think. I didn't play Luigi's Mansion. We covered that. Played more of Link's Awakening. Still like I overall feel really good about that game. Um, we played it Monday, and both Shelby and I were like, okay, this game is like fucking hard, and not because of like the combat or because of the um well, that's really it. It's not because of like the combat. Like the boss fights and stuff I would actually say are pretty easy, if to borderline like too easy.
Hmm.
Um it's the puzzles and the dungeons within, and traversing them and
Yeah.
doubling back and tripling back and all that stuff. I mean, some of it is just like not intuitive. Like, it's so in A Link to the Past, which is the first one we played. There's definitely an air like there's something to be said about like, oh, just try things and you'll like work your way through. Um, this one is like, try everything. Try, like, you have to try the most obscure thing. That thing that you're like, there's no possible way. No, that's actually what you have to do. There's just like a lot of that where it's just like, I would never even have thought to do this. So we've unfortunately had to hold our hands, with some guide, yeah, some guides to help us like traverse once we like get to a point where we're just like beating our head against the wall. Um, but it's so funny because like the story and everything of it is like a lot more gripping in my opinion. Um, and like again, the overall like gameplay and stuff, and the fights and everything like that are like fine, good, like a lot of fun, really. It's just that like once you like have worked your way and finally are in the dungeon, it's just like, oh no, oh god, how am I going to be able to do this? But um, yeah, so we've had that bit of fun.
I completely commiserate with your analysis of like the 2D Legend of Zelda games.
Hmm.
Um, I just remember I was playing Minish Cap for a while, and I remember in this one dungeon being like, "There's absolutely no way to get to this one." I forget what was there. I think there was a chest,
Hmm.
and I was like, "There's absolutely no way to get there." And then I think what I decided was, and it's been a while since I played it. I think what I decided was you do have to do something like very abstract to get there, and you can't even do it until you get something else in the game.
That's always the worst.
So
Uh,
it's like, what am
yeah,
I going to do? Am I going to go through the other like three dungeons in this game and then circle back to this one? And am I going to have to do that for every dungeon? Just remember like what was where.
yeah,
It's cool, but also like holy shit, the layers.
and that's why like A Link to the Past was kind of nice because it was just like it was a lot of a lot of those types of things were like in the overworld. So you would like you'd pass something, but you were going to double back at some point to like get to the next dungeon anyway, because you'd be
Right.
going to the dungeon that's in like the bottom left corner of the map, and the next one is in the top right corner, and so you're going to make your way back through the middle of the map at some point, and that thing that looks like a bomb would blow it open, but you don't have bombs, and suddenly, oh, I have bombs this time, and you open it up and you go in, and then yeah, there's like a different thing that's like you have to dash or whatever, and it's like, I don't have this capability to get over to this thing, so back out we go,
And
and then you go to the next dungeon, you get dash, and you're going back again, and you're like, oh yeah, there's that cave that I opened up with the bombs that I got at the second, and then it all pieces together, and it's really fluid. It felt like in that game,
yeah.
and really good, and yeah, you start putting stuff in the actual like dungeons that, for the most part, when you're done with, you kind of put a bow on it, and you're like, I will never come back here again in my life because why would I? Yeah, so knowing that like they do a little bit of that is like a little daunting. And the number of chests in Link's Awakening in the dungeons, because to anybody who doesn't know, if you were me, earlier this year, basically, um, in the dungeons, there's like locked doors, so you have to go through as many rooms as possible and do certain things that give you keys that then allow you to open those doors. And oftentimes the keys are in chests. In Link's Awakening, there are so many goddamn chests in these dungeons where you finally get to them, you circumvent, you navigate your way, you see it, and you're like, I don't know how to get over there yet. And then you eventually work your way by coming through a different door or whatever. And you finally get to the chest and you open it and it's like 50 rupees. And it's like, I am going to snap. The most recent dungeon I think we were in, I think had 3 chests that gave us rupees instead of keys. And it's just like, oh, you're fucking kidding me. You're fucking kidding me. I don't need rupees. I say that now. In 20 short minutes I will need rupees, but in the moment I do not need these, and so I am very mad that you keep giving them to me when all I want are goddamn keys. And then it's like you finally think you have it figured out. You finally think like, aha, I figured out that I found the chest that's going to give me a key that'll open that door that I just saw, and it's rupees. And it's just like, where the fuck is the key then? So explaining it and talking about it, it's really funny and it's a lot of fun. But when you're in the moment playing it, it can be quite frustrating. I will say
Head
that.
through wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, like overall, it's pretty remarkable. So definitely still having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I don't think I have really much else to report back on overall. So
All right.
let's get into the news, shall we? A bit of breaking news, I guess, in the Xbox realm, as we get reports that they are, uh, I guess, stronger reports, because we've kind of known this was at the very least rumored. But they're prepping for handheld Xbox later this year, and amongst this news, we also have a leak or suggestion that Xbox will have its new line of consoles, so successors to the Series S and X, uh, already slated for 2027. So shit.
Shit, indeed.
Yeah. So a good bit to unpack here. Let's start with the thing that is, upcoming, right? And you know, will be in our hands literally later this year. Let's talk about this Xbox handheld.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Go ahead.
my understanding is this isn't like Microsoft manufactured hardware. It's
Yep.
going to be one of their PC partners. So it'd be kind of fun to speculate on who it's going to be. Uh, my personal thought is that it's probably going to be Dell. Like I think they're pretty high on the list just because of their history with Xbox.
Dude, you're getting Adele.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
Wasn't that their tagline?
So
Oh,
cute.
Discord did not like that.
Yeah, I figured, but
But
Discord, you're getting a Dell whether you like it or not.
to fill people in, I believe you were singing "Someone Like You,"
I was.
but in a very high falsetto that,
A
again,
very high falsetto.
Discord did not appreciate.
I'll start recording on my end one day and we can just dub everything together so you can get my fantastic falsetto. Yeah, so it's probably Dell. There's also if I'm want to put my tinfoil hat on, I think it could be Lenovo. Because Lenovo they just canceled their Windows handheld PC, like gaming PC. Uh, just the Windows side though. The Steam side apparently is great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so part of me was like, oh, did they just cut their losses and now they're going to work, hands on um, with Microsoft to do this. Uh, I've been seeing people say it's going to be a Windows handheld, which technically, but I mean, Xbox is technically a Windows game console. But so,
Right.
like, I think that's deceiving.
Well, right,
I
and
don't think you're going to get like a Windows interface with this. I think it's going to be a trimmed down version of Windows.
yeah, I'm drawing a blank on which event it was, but we just had it not too long ago where some like rumors around an Xbox handheld and stuff like that were being discussed, and you had somebody high up within either Microsoft or Xbox talking about trying to marry the you know the Windows and the Xbox and how to kind of like bring them together, and this kind of seems like the perfect like ask right for that.
Hmm.
You find a way to kind of like you said trim it down and you make them work a bit more hand in hand, as it were. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll be interested to see kind of what it looks like. If it's going to look exactly like the Xbox interface, if it's going to be more like I don't know, kind of like xCloud's interface where it's just like a big list of games. I don't know. Obviously they're probably not going to worry so much on like the media player capabilities. They're probably not going to worry about putting Netflix and all that kind of shit on it. So,
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they like go about trying to set that up, but um I'm assuming no matter what, you know, you'll be able to play games on there natively and not need to connect to your console in order to
yeah,
play games akin to a portal like system, a PlayStation portal,
right.
if you will.
Yeah, this will be fully native. Um, you'll be able to like stream games as well, but I
Right.
think the point is to be like a Steam Deck competitor.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's also uh, I'm trying to not say interesting for like the fifth sentence in a row. Intriguing because that's better. That they're going with a partner to launch the first Xbox handheld.
Yeah.
I know that Microsoft hates making hardware, so I don't blame them. Uh, but I think the goal is to still come out with like a Microsoft manufactured device. Like it's going to set a weird precedent. Like, are the next X are is Xbox actually going to move into not making hardware anymore? Are they just going to make the platform?
Right. It
I,
it is an interesting question that like it's one of those things where it's like we don't really know. We can obviously like speculate on those types of things, and at the very least, I would say like it would kind of make sense, or it wouldn't be like shocking to me.
Mhm.
Outside of like the initial, I guess, like, what do you mean you're not you're not making your own hardware?
Right.
But if anybody were to do that, Xbox is the one in my mind that like again, just like it's one of those things where it's just like you look at everything that they've been doing over these years, it, it would be the least shocking. I'll put it that way. If they came out and were like, yeah, we're creating the interface, we're creating the those types of details. But when it comes to the
Mhm.
actual hardware, we've got all of these different business relationships, that they of course have. Um, so we outsource those pieces of it. Wouldn't be the
I think
craziest thing.
no, and they've been, their marketing campaign for the past 2 years has been like, your fridge is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. So I think they're trying to take Xbox away from the physical thing.
Hmm.
And again, it's just the platform now. I think it'd be a hard sell because I think gamers are sentimental, and I think as soon as like Microsoft doesn't make an Xbox console, people are going to see Xbox is dead
Yeah.
because of like Nintendo's going to keep making consoles, like kind of like what you were alluding to. Like Nintendo's going to keep making consoles, PlayStation's going to keep making consoles. That's just their business. They haven't positioned themselves the same way that Microsoft has. And on top of all that, I think sometime in the past couple of weeks, maybe it was in that um, same interview where all this stuff kind of leaked out, but Phil Spencer said he's also like just done fighting the battle,
Yeah.
and this isn't verbatim, and so like they're going to start putting PlayStation logos on games that are coming to PlayStation as well in their presentations.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I think these are all things that like make sense, and it is a delicate balance though, because like you said, you're gonna hit a point where people are just gonna then like, if you go too deep and you go too like open with these things, like people are then just going to like say you're dead, say like
Yeah.
it's over, and like not even like think of you as like a viable option. Um,
Mhm.
so like, yeah, don't get me wrong, the I love the plan overall, and I love a lot of the stuff that Xbox is doing, but it does also start to like toe a line where it's like, well, unfortunately, the other players aren't really playing that game. It is best for the consumer, and you know, I mean, you don't even need to really think that,
Mhm.
obviously, but like, at the end of the day, it's like, if the other people aren't willing to play ball when it comes to that stuff, they're just going to keep doing their things. And you keep like almost doing this like weird extension of the olive branch, and they just keep accepting it and then like don't give you anything back in return. It's like, yeah, you're just giving and giving and giving and giving and never once receiving any benefit for it or whatever, right? Like, and obviously I'm sure there are numbers that do prove that everything that they're doing is working towards whatever their big goal is, right? Or else, we would have seen a tone shift by now, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, at the same time, like, if you would have told me that Xbox was going to make a handheld or was going to even collaborate on a handheld to get Xbox games, into a Switch-like device, if, if you would have told me this like 7 years ago, back in the height of the Switch, I would have said, yeah, okay, go screw. Like, there's no way.
Mhm.
There's no way Xbox is going to do something like that. And yet, here we are, almost through the end of this console life cycle, which is crazy to say. And sure enough, they have this entire push of like anything's an Xbox, like you said, and you know, look at us, we're working on or working with someone on a handheld that is like going to marry Windows and PC Game Pass and deliver it to you in your hands. You think the Steam Deck's so great, but have you considered? Look at this. And I mean, I think like overall, it's like, it's at the very least consistent, right? Like they keep hitting on these marks, and in a lot of ways, like by doing this, they're kind of, for now, beating PlayStation to a pretty good punch.
Mhm.
This looks a lot better. The only other thing that they could do right now is come out with a better VR system
Yeah.
than PlayStation. Or that is even in line, that is uh comparable to PSVR 2 and sell it for like $200 less, and they'd have something going for themselves.
It's funny though because I do think that Xbox does have a VR play in their partnership with Meta.
Mm,
Um, I've heard more people talk about using Game Pass on Meta than I hear people talking about playing PSVR 2. It's like not that they're making money off of,
sure.
Meta Quest sales, but you have either more people that are getting Game Pass to play games on there, or you have existing Game Pass people who are upgrading to Ultimate to be able to play on there.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't equate to console sales, but they also didn't have to really put any R&D into it. It's not like they had to develop a VR app. It's the same app they use on Android.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of there. I think especially too as we see like AR glasses becoming more and more practical. I mean, literally all you'll have to do is carry an Xbox controller
Yeah.
and you could be sitting on a park bench getting shit on by pigeons and playing Xbox.
Yeah, there you go. I think I think that is what we call the American dream, right?
As far as I'm concerned, doesn't get much better than that.
That's quite literally the definition of the pursuit of happiness is sitting on a park bench, playing Xbox while getting shit on by pigeons.
Yep.
Um,
Sabr's hot dog in hand.
I no, look, I like this move. I think with Game Pass and the value therein, um coming up with I'm gonna assume a cheaper way for people yet again to get into your ecosystem and to be able to play your games is always a good thing, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I really love it. It's yeah, again, like, I'm to bring up PlayStation, like, I'm a little jealous that, like, PlayStation didn't do this, didn't even work with somebody, if that's what it would have taken to come up with a way to effectively make a PlayStation Plus device, because that would have, in my mind, been better than what the Portal is. Um,
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see. Again, this is slated for later this year. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what we get. It's also interesting that we're told this is coming out later this year, and we're also hearing the rumblings already of what is going to be the next console generation for, at the very least, Microsoft, um, set to come out in 2027, which feels too soon.
It's it does. And it's funny actually kind of getting a report that has some validity behind it because you're like 2027, are you mad these consoles just came out? And then you're like, man, 7 years from 2013 was 2020, and guess what? That's
Hmm.
when we got this generation. Um, Time is an illusion.
Time is an illusion.
So it feels crazy early, but it's right on schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, it,
Um,
it is one of those things where it's like you peel back the layers and realize, like you said, it's right on schedule.
yep. So I imagine like PlayStation's going to be doing the same thing. I think we'll probably see a new PlayStation in 2027. So, I mean, that means we're going to start getting some teasers pretty soon here.
Yeah. My challenge to this is that just because it's right on schedule, does that mean it needs to be? Does that mean that we need to have uh, consoles come out right now, you know, like
Yeah. It
uh
doesn't really feel like this generation has peaked yet. Like
a
I
hundred
still don't
percent.
think I still don't think we've gotten like the end of generation like masterpiece like we did with The Last of Us Part 2.
I think my biggest issue is that it's 2025. We're 5 years into this generation, right? Are games still releasing on PS4?
Yeah, they are.
That
Because
can't.
that was what?
That yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say because I think this generation is so weird because one, consoles were so hard to get at the very beginning. And I think Sony specifically, but Xbox did kind of leaned this way too eventually. They just pitched the last generation as like the cheap option or the available option.
Yeah.
So even though it's the last generation, I mean, it essentially stayed alive for an additional 7 years plus.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. I mean, I guess I would have to like go back and look, but like, when was the last PS3? And like, there's always going to be weird cases, right? But like, what is like the last stretch in which games, released on that console while like the PS4 was out and like all this stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
it it's just crazy to me that like this year is going to be the first year that MLB The Show solely releases uh on the current gen.
Is that right?
It's not releasing on PS4, but it's also still releasing on Switch, I believe. So like it's just again, it's weird is an understatement. It feels like,
I mean, the new Madden released on Xbox One,
yeah,
but like I don't think college football did.
right. But I do think college football released on PS4, so it probably did release on Xbox One.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I thought, but maybe not.
Oh.
Either way, like it just this can't be like the case. This is insane. Like the new consoles are going to be announced and games are still going to be releasing on last gen. What's the value there? Like
Right.
how do you convince somebody that they need to upgrade? Or what is what's going to happen that, this current gen, the PS5 and the series generation of consoles are going to end up being kind of like a lame duck generation. And the real jump is actually PS4 to PS6 or
Yeah.
Xbox One to, whatever. I can't predict, obviously, what Xbox is going to call the next generation. Um, so is that really like where the true jump is going to happen because it's such a small jump from last to current. Um,
I don't know what else. I guess the major upgrade is going to be like chips that can lock in like 120 frames per second and still be 4K and have ray tracing and all that fun shit. Like
yeah,
that's cool. Like that is a jump. That is a pretty significant jump even from the current generation. But who has the TVs to handle that? I mean, the more and more we edge towards, and I think I've beaten this argument to death before, but people buying consoles aren't gonna. I would say most people that are buying consoles are not going to have TVs that are really going to take advantage of that.
right,
And you're going to get to a point where if you want a video game console, you're going to have to start buying gaming monitors,
right. Which I
and they're
think
not going
kind
to
of
be too
defeats the
happy when they find out they're as expensive as an 80-inch TV.
right. I was gonna say it kind of defeats the purpose of like what like the appeal is supposed to be.
Yeah. I think we're going to kind of get to a point where new consoles are going to be more for the enthusiast group
Hmm.
and the previous gen. I mean, I think they, the previous two gens are a good case study for it. It's, if you're an enthusiast, you get the new console. But if you're not, the previous gen will work well for at least another generation.
Yeah.
So as long as you can get past not having like the newest thing, it's almost kind of nice because you don't have to buy a new console. You only have to buy a new console every 14 years.
Yeah. That's so tough.
Or 10 or um I know people who are just getting like PS5s and Series X's because their Xbox Ones and their PS4s were fine.
Right.
We're only just now getting to the point where there are games that people want to play that you can only play on these consoles.
Right. Very few
Or there's at least a
experiences.
catalog.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, like you said, if they're suggesting that 2027 is the window, there's a good chance that we start to maybe see some stuff around, um, these consoles.
Yep.
Little bits and pieces, maybe a sneak peek or something, shortly, which is again just kind of crazy to think about, given that it does not feel like we've fully cemented our place in this current generation. Will be interesting.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. I'm excited for the Switch too.
Yep. Yep.
That'll be my new console for a couple of years, and I just got the PS5 as well, so
Right.
I'm pretty content getting caught up on those games
Yeah, I was gonna
for the
say
next couple of years.
you're kind of in a good spot.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that does it then. So we can look forward to an Xbox handheld and what lies within. And before too long, we will be looking ahead to what is the next console generation. Crazy to think about. Um, but yeah, that does it for this episode. As always, thank you all so much for listening. If you could do us a favor and leave us a rating or a review wherever you do listen to the podcast, that'd be greatly appreciated. You can go over to our YouTube channel and let us know your thoughts on the Xbox handheld and let us know your feelings on a potential 2027 release date for the next generation of consoles. Just what, 2.5 years away, basically, if you would imagine that it'll be in November or around that time is when they normally release, right? But yeah, let us know your thoughts. And if you could share the podcast with a friend, that would be appreciated. And we will talk to you next week.